Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out to an evening of poetry here at Adrian's Memorial Library. I'm Deborah Schoen, and I'm your host for this evening. Uh, Before I introduce our guest poet tonight, I just want to give you the highlights for next month. And Kathy and Carl Schmitz will be reading. And if you can make it here early, between 6 and 7, Kathy will type a poem for you personally, and then she'll probably read it during her evening of poetry. But so between 6 and 7, she'll be out somewhere there, maybe outside, maybe in the library, with a typewriter and a table. And that's Kathy over there. So thanks for coming out tonight. And they'll be our featured
and you
for.
Take your poem home with you when we do.
Yes.
That's interesting.
So yes, so you get to take your poem home with you when the evening's over. I think so. That's that. So this evening we have Janet Stewart. She hails from the Dutch Caribbean island of Aruba, and when she was a small child, her parents moved back to their native island of St. Vincent, British West Indies, where she lived with her grandmother, and she would be there until 1965. And she'll explain more about that as she's, I'll let you finish.
It's okay.
And I just love her poetry. It's very lyrical. And she can actually transport you back to where she's from. And I'm sorry. When I had scheduled her, she said, "Well, I want to go home. I want to go back to St. Vincent this year." And I said, "Oh, well, I could schedule you any month, Janet." Yeah, and she goes, "No, leave it for June. I'll work my trip around that." And I'm here like, "Okay." And so she goes, "Well, it worked out anyway because the volcano erupted in St. Vincent and I couldn't go home. So God works everything out and orders everything just right. So she's here with us. She's safe. And maybe she'll be able to get home sometime. But we're just so thrilled to have you here with us tonight, Janet, to share your work. So please give Janet a nice warm Poughkeepsie welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, and we will have an open mic after. So, if you want to read a poem, we limit it to 3. And then if you want to close us out with a couple of your poems after open mic, that would be great, Janet.
That's fine. That's
Okay?
fine. Yes.
And you don't want all of that
Okay,
stuff.
fine. Hi, you know my name now. I'm from St. Vincent, and I'm going to actually start reading some of my poems. As I said in the packet, each poem tells a story. And I've lived all of these poems, lived about 99% of them. So it just comes from my heart. I'm really not a poet. I'm actually a culinary teacher. I retired about 5 years ago. But I didn't want to cook anymore. I taught at CIA. I didn't want to cook anymore, so I decided to just write. And I attended Deborah's writing classes. So that's how I really got to know her. The first one, a lot of them are about, some is a pandemic. I don't want to tell you about any gloom and doom. You're going to hear a little bit of everything, okay? That's okay. All right, I'm going to write about, first of all, St. Vincent. And St. Vincent was mentioned so much. I left my childhood home behind to find the streets paved in gold. Sign Hill was everything to me. My life, my hope, my everything. Have you ever been to Sign Hill? Back to the place I left behind. If not, please do, please do. Visit, you must, you must. You can see where the blue-green of the ocean meet the horizon. The sight, sound, and smell of the ocean air will relax and comfort you. Listening to the waves lapping against the seashore will mesmerize you with rhythmic songs of beans and anti-pop music. That's my son. You see the birds high in the air, flying towards the far-off islands. Watch imposing, breathtaking, beautiful mountain views. You could see the goats grazing on the grass as they look up towards the clouds. Coconut trees with their spreading fronds will supply cool shade while you fill your tummy with coconut milk, coconut jelly, Drink delicious coconut water. Everybody knows here what's a coconut, right? To the window you will see engulfed by the scent of ripe mangoes, papaya, bananas, sugar apples, damsels, and red plums. You will join with the natives in making guava cheese and guava jelly. The marketplace will intoxicate you with all the tropical fruits and provisions. The old men will tell you folk tales and Nancy stories. Nancy stories is a folk tale told by the slaves many, many years ago. So that's a brief description of St. Vincent. I'm going to write you something that's presently. It's called The World Needs a Hug. Hello, world. The world, the messenger of love. You stand strong, majestic, regal, noble, and fervent. Nestled among the palm, coconut, mango, and breadfruit trees, sapodilla, and oak trees. Your presence among the ferns, shrubs, and flowers are omnipotent. They need you to survive. Animals of all species need your protection. People of all shapes, sizes, and color depend on you. Your calm, loving, and peaceful soul is unfailing. You support us all, but we have failed you. We have disappointed you. Your eyes are teary, your heart is sad. You scratch your bald head until it bleeds. In the chaos of 2020, alone we all sat, avoiding the ravish of an invincible foe, so vile and savage. We all sat, doors closed and locked. Our pantry slowly dwindling, insufficiently stocked. The neighbors were treated only with what we could spare. Alone we sat fearful and desperate, locked in our homes to weather the storm. I'm going to read you a poem I wrote for Governor Cuomo. And this came from the heart. Governor Cuomo, my governor, Andrew. I watch your daily briefings as I lay quarantined in my room. I thank you for taking care of New York State. Our Father above guided your wonderful spirit as you challenge COVID-19 virus roaming around our state, creating havoc. You took no nonsense, no. You, like your father did, you followed in his footsteps. Now he's smiling down on you, grinning from ear to ear, with his heart full of grace. From the beginning, your honesty was key. You stood grounded despite the political hostility. For war was declared in your state with an unseen adversary. It contaminated and did us harm, grave harm. Practicing good hygiene is our only shield in this demon who waits out there. But you can beat the invader who opposed your leadership to engage and influence us. In your soothing, fatherly, compassionate manner, through your charts, graphs, data, outlines, and recommendations, you remind us to adhere to the CDC guidelines. No more shaking hands. Don't touch your face. Don't stand too close in crowded spaces. If we keep our hands squeaky clean, wash 20 seconds at the most. Get PPE ventilators, quick. Hurry. Gather first responders like Jesus gathered his disciples. Stand 6 feet apart, you must. The proof is in the pudding, your favorite quote. You resurrected Florence Nightingale. You gave the nurses their due and more. So, listen to Cuomo, listen. You will hear the birds sing. This pandemic will soon be over. a thing of the past, a thing of the past. We will embrace the new normal. Thank you, Governor Cuomo. Okay, another pandemic 2020. All the isolation is driving me crazy. It's driving me mad. How do we miss hearing a human voice? How do we miss listening to a human voice? Even hearing the dialect of a dozen tones of someone reading poetry. Their phonic sounds jerk you back to reality, most especially currently, when the invisible, silent enemy crept into our lives. They have imprisoned us into something called quarantine. They are forcing us to hide our God-given features. It's making us wear face masks, slicing our lung to shreds, leaving us gasping for air, sending shivers up from the sole of our feet to the depths of our heart. It hurts our head. It hurts our soul. It hurts our belly. It hurts our loved ones. Our smiles fade beneath a cloud of anger. We stumble in despair for 64 days or more. Some will sadly die. Some won't make the journey home. Today we are blue as the world drifts away. But just like time, all things will pass. Pandemic 2021. The dark depression clouds are slowly fading away. The sun comes up to shine, like a new painting, fresh pictures on the sky. Nothing lasts forever. Then once again, we will be on our way. When dawn awakes to a bright new day, the streets would come alive again. Shops will open, buzzing and hustling. But the best moments will be when we bind our things together as humans to create an intricate connection with the human spirit. And I think that's what we're doing right now. I'm going to write, I wrote a poetry about George Floyd. It's called The Gentle Giant. A gentle giant was he. I did not know him, but alas, I felt I did. Each of us shares his cells, blood, bone, tissue, and all. He could have been my son, my grandson, my brother, my ancestral kin. He was senselessly, brutally choked by a so-called lawman who swore under oath to protect and serve. You mean intimidate? His three stooges stood by as he gasped for breath. He was hauntingly whispering in a raspy voice, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe." He whispered again in a raspy voice, struggling between life and death. Devoid of oxygen, death became him. He lay there lifeless, like an animal. America, America, America. You opened the wound that never healed. You poured glasses of salt. You opened the wound again. Our ancestors today died another death. Malcolm and Martin warned us to keep the struggle real. Take us out of this torment and anguish and pain. Our black men are dying. Black mothers are breathing under dark, dark, muddy waters. Ancestors are shrieking and bawling in their graves. Enough, enough. I wrote this poem about my granddaughter, Sonora, who lives in New Zealand. You are like a well-read book of fiction, like your radiant and budding self, so beautifully written. Each time I turn the page, there are mystery, excitement, and anticipation as the narrative begins to unfurl. Laughter, tears, and sniffles, then joy as the story is written. You bring back several memories. I brought you to my culinary classroom many moons ago. In 2006, at the age of 7 or 8, my students fed you baked goods, gourmet sandwiches, and such. They even showed you how to set a formal table. They set up a bed in the classroom for you to take a nap. Oh, all the happy times we had when we were exceedingly small. You may have grown up, may have outgrown my lap, but you never outgrew my heart. But nothing could compare to the first time I held you close. You will always be the first, a blessing from above. I went to a club once, and I went to a disco club many moons ago, and I just sat in a chair and watched this lady dance, and I don't know who she was, I don't know what her name was. And I remember ABBA, that group, and I call this poem Dancing Queen. Okay. The beat of the music feels like blood dancing in her veins. The sound of the drum kept time with her emotions. It enters her heart with a boom and a bang. It is sounding like heavy drops of rain spluttering on the hot tin roof. It beckons her on a journey of soulful serenity, leaving her in drunken harmony. She twists, she turns, she gyrates, she spins, she limbo, she jives. She's salsa, merengue, boogie, and calypso. She winds and moves her body line to the calypso and reggae songs by the Mighty Sparrow, Bob Marley, and Melody. Don't forget ABBA. Damn, you dance like no humankind. Her soul sweeps to the devotion of the dance. The zeal, the passion, enthusiasm flows from it within her. Oh, dancing queen. Oh, dancing queen. This one is about my son. My daughter-in-law called me and told me, talked about my son and his cat. So I decided to just write a little poem about it. The 3 B's. Look, there they go. Bert, Mortis, and Burgess. Mortis the cat, Burgess the dog. Those animals reveal a spiritual world beyond the human. Bert, the master host, he was a master host to his unique pets. When Bert smiled his happy smile, they know. When he says no, they'll listen. When he raps to death sweater, they dance. Mortis' black and gray fur is so shining and smooth. His eyes are glowing like the moon above. Mortis lies beneath Bert's feet at night, purring, curled up and lumped like a beanbag. Wrapping his feet in a warm embrace, he meows to help him fall asleep. Burgess silently claims a space on his bed, but he's always allowing Bert his own space. With his muzzle facing west, he shrugs in his spot, making sure you get your rest. This is a story of Bert, Mortis, and Burgess. And this is another story of Hippo the cat. Those are animals. Hippo the cat, Miss Self-Sufficient and Self-Reliant. She reigns supreme. The warm, unflinching love she displays to her host-master beings, it is second to none. She sleeps alone under the gray blue skies, protected by the sacred moon and stars that shimmers on her like broken crystals on her gray-like fur. Alas, before she closes her eyes for her last blinking nod, she gestures to her hostmaster. He knows the hippo lingo. With paw outstretched, she pounces on his lap, purring away while he pats her buttocks. No one disturbs them or dares intrude. The connoisseur of comfort is pleased, and then with a deep purr, she rolled off to sleep. Each morn before the crack of dawn, she rises from her deepest sleep to eagerly await her hostmaster's symphony. Okay, this one is a little bit, you see how you take it. This is my first husband who passed away in 1981. His name is Robert, we called him Bob. Your spirit lives on. You are gone too soon. You are gone too soon. You have left some souls behind. They have inherited different parts of you. Your smile, dry and humorous jokes. Your tenacity, strength, and brilliance. You have grown into a special humanoid. Innate with frailties and weakness like the rest of us. Your lips curled up with your smile. Your cheeks form a well within your face. Your perception of the written word like no other. Your love for science fiction goes hand in hand with Captain Kirk and Spock. The predictions you made for Marvel and the DC universe have surpassed the 20th century calculation. Building your bionic leg was the last feat on this earth. You are my husband, a human who is gone too soon. I miss you with the same intensity as before. We will meet again in paradise. This is another one about my second husband who also passed away. It's called The Day I Witnessed Death. The Day I Witnessed Death, October 13th, 2011. The day I witnessed my partner's Noel's death, I stood at his bedside motionless like a statue. His arm laid quietly at his flanks, like a living larva in a cocoon, once powerful, muscular, now physically exhausted and consumed by his struggle with cancer. He would soon die, mostly within the day. We sat together, bonded by grief. I was captured by the drama slowly unfolding before me. Moving steadily and precisely, the organs are shutting down one by one by one. I stood in a hospital room motionless. With heartache, my heartache no one could steal, no one can discern. However, gratitude emerges and overtakes me. It serves as a reminder of my own destiny as I remain on this beautiful paradise called Earth. His body meticulously, logically, systematically, and carefully shuts down. Slowly, slowly. The process began, organ and then system by system. So serene, so peaceful, so divine. Fulfilling the promise of the Lord, awe-inspiring. Peaceful for the dying, but difficult for the living. This is about my daughter Helen. Helen, October morn, 1972. The chilly morning greeted me with a loud hello and a sacred hallelujah. As I lie on the bed of childbirth, I quivered with dread. A young professional nurse, that is, my husband, tries to console me. He talks about the joy of giving birth, the satisfaction of welcoming our little one into the world. I cannot compare it to anything. You are about to have the time of your life, he said. Yes, he doesn't know. 9 months of true blessings, he said. Yeah. Since I knew better than he about this matter, he voiced his opinion. He parlayed on. My inner voice listened. Thank you, husband. However, I am still alone, solely and entirely on my own. Chewing my lips, my body tenses. Waiting on the conceivable, the one truth, I shall give birth to a girl. Soon, soon. Transforming my inner blessings in unison with my outward consciousness, with a smile, patient and mild. I'm scared and excited at the same time. hesitant yet bold. As the Maker so silently fashions my form with the first labor pains, suddenly the sun gives blushes. The world goes strangely calm. I am alone, but not alone. Just alone between the pushing pains. But the joy of birth came with a long-awaited surprise. My newfound maternal bliss did wipe all the pain away, all forgotten. Our new baby girl is entering the world. My dear Helen was made straight from the heart.
Can you just read again what he said to you?
Which part? First part?
Yeah,
What Robert said?
What he said.
Okay. As a matter of fact, I didn't read a part. As a matter of fact, he actually delivered.
The babies?
Yes.
Wow.
My husband was a registered nurse before he passed away.
But
Yes.
at home?
At home, yes.
In the 70s?
Hey, Helen was born in 1972, and he died in 1981. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Which part do you want to hear?
But how he said that you're going to have the time of your life?
Oh, yes. Let me find it. Yes. Sometime of your life. Okay, is that to get up on it by grief? Let me just stop it. Can I read over the top? Yes. Okay. The day not that one. Where's Helen? Okay. October 1972. Could you imagine October 1972? I'm lying on my bed and the sun is shining. You guys might be too young for that. The chilly morning greeted me with a loud hello and a sacred hallelujah. As I lie on the bed of childbirth, I quivered with dread. A young professional nurse, that is my husband, tries to console me. He talks about the joy of giving birth, the satisfaction of welcoming our little girl into the world. I cannot compare it to anything else. You are about to have the time of your life, 9 months of true blessings, he said. Since I knew better than he about this matter, he voiced his opinion. I just listened. He parlayed on and talked on. Okay. My inner voice listened. Thank you, husband. However, I am still alone, solely and entirely on my own. Chewing my lips, my body tenses, waiting on the conceivable, the one truth. I shall give birth to a girl child. Soon. Transforming my inner blessings in unison with my outward consciousness. With a smile, patient and mild, I'm scared and excited at the same time, hesitant yet bold. As the Maker so silently fashions my form with the first labor pains, suddenly the sun gives blushes. The world goes strangely calm. I am alone, but not alone, just alone between the pushing pains. All the women can understand that, I hope. But the joy of birth came with a long-awaited surprise. My newfound material bliss did wipe all the pain away, all forgotten. My anguish gave way to joy. Our new baby girl is entering the world. Oh, dear Helen was straight from the heart.
And Helen is your first.
No, actually, Robert is. This is one about my grandson, Dean, who is now 8. The birth of this chocolate ebony baby. He came to us like a ray of sunshine, his eyes as brown as a freshly made cinnamon stick, his hair as straight as the Garfunkel ancestors. Not the Garfunkel ancestors were like Caribs from the islands and African. Do you understand? He cries like the jingling of little bells. His tears fell like snowflakes. He smiles and reacts to the touch of a human hand. His fingers delicate and fair as a lily. The prominence of his nose is like his grandfather. 10 tiny toes nuzzled in his crib, as if to say, I know I am loved. His ancestors nodded their heads and gave him their blessing. This baby being was the baby of the hour. He still is, yes. This is a long one. I'm going to read this one to you first. Okay. I'm going to read you a poem of my father, who I don't even remember actually. Last time I saw him, I was about 2 or 3 years old. Father, father. My father was gone in the blink of an eye. He disappeared into the sunset and never was seen. Father, father, where are you? I have looked for you everywhere. After school, weekends, during carnival season, during Easter. I have looked in the buses, I have looked in cars, I have looked in houses, I have looked everywhere. Where is my father, I ask? Everyone shook their heads. No one knew, but deep within my soul, I know they knew. I saw the knowing in their hearts, but they protected him. I know. I didn't want to hurt or rebuke him. I only wanted to know, why did you leave us? I needed to be loved and be in your arms so that I could feel safe once more, especially safe from the Moko Jambi. Those are spirits we talked about, in the old days. So, there's another poem about my grandmother who actually brought me up. I lived with my grandmother from 2 years old until 22, until when I got married, she lived with me, and then she went back to the Caribbean. Yeah. The heavenly songs of the ocean caressing the shore greeted me as I dilly-dallied on the calm and pleasant Grand Bay. I stood in awe, listening to the soothing sound of the ocean waves as they bound back and forth, hugging each other, like jumping, thrilled chickens playing in the sand. Then I remembered my granny. I saw her face. She lit up and gave me a beaming smile, highlighted by her chiseled cheekbones. She turned her head and I glanced at her well-defined nose and her beautiful brown eyes, gazing lovingly at me, at my new hairdo. Then I took 3 steps, her arms outstretched towards me. I quickly ran towards her to fill the space she opened for me, where always I feel safe and serene. And now that I'm a grandmother, I fill this place she left for all my grandchildren. Thanks for teaching me how to love. Granny, I will always love you. I will always be like a handprint on my heart. This is another one about my grandmother. I went back to an island called Grenada after I retired, and when I came back, I wrote this poem about her. I saw Granny's grave today, overlooking the tranquil blue-green waters of the Caribbean Sea. My heart heaved up and down, mimicking the rhythms of the sea. A few teardrops fell on the concrete tombstone. It seemed to cleanse the wound of my troubled soul. I gently wipe away the unruly weeds. I close my eyes, losing myself in a shrine of thoughts. An image formed a distinguished shape around the stone. My grandmother looked like a woman who was snatched away by death, but still in charge. I knew she knew I was there. She smiled. And when I looked into her eyes, she quickly looked away and tried her best to smile. I reached out to her, our hands entwined. I said, I love you, always and forever. She slowly disappeared from whence she came. This is not a husband one, sorry. We met in 1969. Cross Country Hospital was the place. You said to me, I will marry you. I said, you crazy man. I don't know you. That time I spoke to my Caribbean twang. I don't know you. But I gave him my phone number. As soon as I got home, he called me SAP. You asked me for a date. I said, no, no, no. You asked me again. I said, no. You asked me again and again. I said, no. Finally, we went to the movies. You asked, may I kiss you? I responded, only on the cheek. I'll leave the rest to imagination. Sorry. This is called A View. Standing on the mountain top, she could clearly see her life played out like a soap opera. Paralyzed, nervous, apprehensive, and fearful, she closed one eye and opened the other. What she saw was an ebony, chocolate, chilly, dark-skinned mama. Beautiful, sophisticated, lovable, and kind. With the eyes of Betty Davis, with the mouth of Nene Leakes. Her choice of men was oh la la. She gave her all. She shared her love. She made mistakes along the way. So ease up now and let her go. I'm not going to tell you where that one is. This one is... You don't believe how much stuff you've written until you start, reading them. Oh, this one's good. In the West Indies, we have a lot of hurricanes. So I went through a couple of hurricanes, I'm sure you did. Hurricane Janet in 1955, rushed to the shores of St. Vincent Island. Oh, mercy, oh, mercy. Granny gritted her teeth in fear. Before she can blink an eye, her world, her island was turned upside down. Palm trees shuttered. Fear toward every branch and root. Granny barred the windows, nailed the doors shut with 10-inch nails. Run to the cellar, children, run to the cellar. Guided by the old kerosene lamp, they descended the stairs. Down they scampered, Granny on their heels. They huddled like hibernating bears, consoling the ones who needed to. Shivers and moans, you can hear them groan. Granny hugged her children together and lovingly protect them from the howling hurricane. The blue skies lay buried under the dark black clouds. Coconuts fell in unison, each one hugging the other for survival. Hurricane Janet, oh, mercy on us, mercy on us. More branches and trees fell and smashed into pieces. The roosters, hens, and chickens flew their coops and landed in the pig pens, only to be greeted by oink, oink, oink. The rain tapered into a drizzle. The trees stretched and smiled. Granny's praise to the Lord broke the stillness of the morning. Finally, peace at last. I am looking for that particular poem. When I was about 18 or 19, I graduated from the convent. And I worked in a leper hospital. And I wrote this about maybe 10 years ago, probably. I worked with this nurse, her name is Mabel, but in the islands we call everybody aunt, or we very seldom say, we always say Miss and Mrs., we call it aunt or call you granny, depends on how old you are. That's how we live there. I visited my Aunt Mabel at the age of 9. 1955 was the year. She lived above the coastline on the tropical island of St. Vincent. A dedicated matron, a nurse, was she. A friend of the lepers, she always was. She nursed them as if they were her own. Faith, compassion, humility, and love guided her. One day she took me to visit them, hoping I would follow in her footsteps. With dread and nervousness I went. Outside their cells, the walls were painted lily white. Inside the walls were dark and gray. I looked in their cells, their arms outstretched, waiting to touch the skin of a humankind. Skin hunger they craved, like you and me, trapped in their scourge bodies, fighting to get out, screaming for mercy and compassion. You can hear souls crying, groaning, wailing like animals in a cage, challenged by the terror of their appearance. The stench of feces and foul urine tainted the air. Feces covered the sides of the walls, the disease eaten away at their extremities one by one. I saw their boil-ridden bodies. Their fingers and toes can feel no pain. Some already have disappeared. My emotions stirred. I was moved to sadness and tears. She picked them up and showed them care, even sharing in their sorrows. Without the love she had for them, God only knows where they would be. She kindly asked her children to say hello to my niece. They looked at me, smiled, and nodded. I could see the twinkle in their half-closed eyes. Hearing the helpful and familiar voice of Aunt Mabel brought them to their feet. That day changed my life and shaped my soul. It was God's wisdom revealed so brilliantly in Aunt Mabel that changed my life forever. Aunt Millie, that was Aunt Mabel's sister. In my youth, you loved me so. 1944 to 1965, you comforted me. I left you behind, I never looked back. I migrated to the land of opportunity and the home of the brave. My regret and bitterness have left a distressing feeling in my heart. I adopted another culture and left my own. Before my passport to heaven runs out, my heart needed to say, you were the one who gave me toys, ginger sticks, sugar cakes, my first dollhouse too. Cooking Caribbean cuisine at the age of 8. Watching carnival festivities from my window. Experiencing the rushes dance and pounding music and flamboyant costumes that makes up the celebration. Understanding African mysticism. Prepare and bake rum cake and bread pudding soaked in coconut milk. You taught me well. For as I approach my golden years, I realize I should have kept in touch. My dearest, most beloved Aunt Millie, the best friend of my dear mother and me, again, please forgive my selfishness, for my soul is tortured, my flesh is weak. See you again, Aunt Millie. Image of you will live in my heart forever. Shall I go on? Yes? Okay. At one point in my life, I was very sad because I lost 2 husbands and I went through a lot. And I could share this with you. This is called Ambien. It's a medication that I received. My cheeks nestled against the DIY pillow, staring at the irritating clock loaded with red, digital, crooked numbers. The damage, mixed match numbers, orange, blue, ceiling wallpaper. I saw all these in an Ambien dream. Longing to sleep, but my eyes are open and burning. A pungent smell filled my nostrils, interrupted my thoughts. I inhaled the bittersweet, pungent odor. I overpowered every breath I took. It augmented my eardrums, and I thought they would burst into fragments. I could hear the rush of my breath, my heart beating fast. Temporary state of consciousness reared its ugly head. My head becomes a late-night bizarre TV station. Listen to snippets of songs and pep talk from David Letterman. Oh, a pit of swaddling darkness surrounds me. The hollowness I feel is unimaginable and panicking. I took the last 2 pills that would get me into an Ambien haze. I wrapped my body in a turtle-like shell, ready and for the journey. It is moments like this that the great universe claims my body and soul. The phenomenon happens, I fall asleep. This night, for reasons unknown, it hits harder than usual. I wandered aimlessly through the clouds. In my mental confusion and zombie-like state, in my mystic radiance, I stretched my head, my hand and fingers, dreaming. I floated inside a cocoon of warmth and safety, far away from the paradoxical effects of Ambien. Mom, Mom, I cried out. She appeared in a white gown. She leaned her head back, and I looked at her. I felt the warm tears as they landed on my hand. Her dark brown eyes turned at me with surprise and concern. She walked away, knowing I will be all right. Okay, this is about a restaurant I went to in Hudson, up the Hudson. Customers walk, run, skip, bike, baby strollers to PLG, that's the name of the restaurant, through the flurry of the wind and sleet, like subway traffic in New York Penn Station. They stumble out of their homes, apartments, and hotels, forming a line similar to the subway traffic at Grand Central, to enjoy moments of culinary bliss. A divine atmosphere welcomes you, and you become friends with 2 or 3 or 4 strangers. Eclectic paintings submitted by patrons adorn the walls. Whoa. Dining and eating your belly full is not an understatement. Plain bursts of songs and rap lyrics by Beans add to the feel-good aura. So close your eyes, inhale, exhale, breathe that cuisine into your central channel and allow it to permeate. Pastry, some Colston, you can't just eat one. Hudson Valley bread alone, need no butter, maybe jelly, so drink, eat up. Pay no attention to the world swinging around you. The secret lies in peace, harmony, atmosphere, and good eats. Move over Alton Brown. All the comforting smells and scents will follow you home. This one is about the Spotty Dog. Customers, visitors from somewhere, everywhere, they scurry like ants, scamper like newborn puppies to visit Spotty Dog, a book and ale cafe, looking for a reason to make them feel all right. Scrambling up the cafe, outretched at the Hudson Valley history. Oh la la, I took a seat. I smelled eats. My nostrils picked up the scent of the ale and new books. Scents mixed with laughter, music, and food wafted from the cafe into the street. Caught up in the excitement and moment, your trouble will take a backseat. Drawn by the vanilla smell coming from the other side of the cafe, ooh, books. Thumbing through the pages and reading the newfound books, I wanted to crawl into a corner of a book and live there. They had become a part of me. The 50s, 60s, 70s, magical, poetic, pen verses, consuming the assortment of American ales with their tantalizing flavors, give me a buzz of a lifetime. Munching substantial plates of diced cheeses, goat American, yellow cheddar, brie surrounded by water, whole wheat crackers, was a wondrous journey for my taste buds. Feeling out of myself and powerful, I left my spirits sky high until the next time, Spotty Dog. If you can, visit the Spotty Dog. It's in the Hudson.
Where is it?
In the Hudson, up the Hudson. It's,
Is it on Warren Street? Yeah.
you know, yeah, is it still there?
Yeah,
It's still there.
it's
It's still there. See, I guess I go there quite frequently. I want to. This is about Mandela. Troubled souls he led, brighten our universe and teach us a thing or two or three he did. He understood our shortcomings. He changed the course of history. We miss you, we miss you. Your spirit is here forever in our hearts. And we are here to honor you, Mandela, Mandela. You were a friend and ancestral father, man of peace, courage, good judgment and honesty. They caged you like a cornered animal. They couldn't hold you back. Man of faith, man of hope. Those bars were made of hate, not love. But through your suffering, pain, and humiliation, you conquered and came out stronger than before. You became Lord of the Manor. Through your graciousness and forgiving spirit, you loved your tormentors and gave them a space in your heart. Only Mandela, only Mandela. Oh, this one about another grandchild, Sejal. The thuds, clunks, crashes, coupled with the echo of her voice, soothes you into a carefully crafted spell. She is like a Caribbean flying fish, making self-propelled leaps out of the water into the air. She perches high in hand like a hummingbird along the rickety wrought iron bedrail of her grandma's bed. She gazes into grandma's dark brown ebony eyes while she reads her Bible, a new scriptural verse every night. There on her face are tears as she read, not tears of sorrow, but tears of joy. The sight of her grandmother's kind face, softened with age and wrinkles, not me, always made her feel better. She snuck into her grandmother's bed and curled up near the edge of the bed and gazed into the deep, watery walls of grandma's heart. Oh, grandma, she whispered. Sleeping with you makes me feel comfortable and safe. You smell like ginger, curry, mace, and lavender too. Closing her eyes wide shut, while she's savoring the pungent smells coming from her flannel nightie, draping herself across the sheets. She floats away, losing herself in the rhythm of the clouds. Sleep, my lovely, until the sun is gone, until the sun is gone. I think I left the long one to last. Is that time? I had another one if you care to hear it. You tell me when to stop.
Were you going to read anything for open mic? Okay.
Yes, go ahead. You tell me to stop. I just stop when you tell me.
No, well, why don't we just open it up for open mic, and then you can close this out with like two more.
Okay, that's fine. I have two more.
All right. So we'll end with you, since you're our feature. Okay. Great. So who's ready? Carl or Kathy? Okay, great. Kathy Schmitz is gonna read a few for us.
It's so nice to see you and hear you again, Jan. It's been a long time.
Yes.
I was so upset because I wrote a really good new poem and I couldn't find it. I wrote it by hand. I can't find the pad it's on. I looked everywhere. So I brought you some old poems.
Yeah.
One of them so old it still says Kathy by Kathy Polani on it. So that's so old there. And that poem is called Smiling Obits. A celebrity famous for decades and well into his 80s died recently, and the news services published his obit with 40-year-old photos when he was on top and life was great, and I wondered if he died knowing that all the fun in his life was trapped in old snapshots, or was the prime of his life when he was out of the public eye, when he was older than I am now, of which there are no pictures, and will I find my prime soon, or has it passed too in photographs of me smiling all those years ago? This poem is called Drunken Husbands. Most people only saw an unkept island of overgrown lawn at the traffic circle where the cars from 3 different directions patiently waited to merge with the rest. But at this moment, she was alone and only saw butterflies dancing from crown vetch flower to crown vetch flower, and bumblebees drinking from clover like drunken husbands drinking from beer mugs, and she wondered where her own was. This is called Mytopia, and we actually wrote this poem with that poetry workshop with Phil Levine from the Chronicler.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a while ago too, right? Mytopia. I like to meditate with my glasses on and my eyes closed. When clarity comes, I want to be able to see it. I cannot read in my dreams. I sleep with corrective lenses, afraid I am missing the message. I want to back into my life like a tractor trailer backing into the garage of a small parking lot, looking sideways to go backwards. Objects closer than they appear. Perfect on the first try. No glasses required. Thank you.
They're great. Thank you, Kathy.
Yes.
Carl, you ready to come on up?
Oh, I think you were going to read. That's why I introduced you.
Oh, all right. I'll read. I have 2. In kind of response to Janet's poetry and the nostalgia of home, I wrote a poem, and it's broken into like 5 tankas. But I took the tankas and I weaved them into one poem, and it's called Grandma's Summer Christmas. Blueberry bushes, fresh mint for fresh brewed iced tea, pear and apple trees, shucking husks from corn on the cob, taste and see Grandma's sweetness. Brown dead pine needles adorning driveway and cellar doors that serve as a slide for the grandchildren of yore on the shores of Grandma's house. Wild roses grow adorning stone fireplace in Grandma's backyard where loving children play and smile while adults set up wooden croquet. Wreaths and necklaces made from Grandma's dandelions, pretty little girls parading and pretending to be princesses. Catch a firefly, hundreds of yellow blinky lights suspended in black air, Christmas in Midsummer's Dream across Grandma's Wonderland. And God's just really been blessing me lately with rainbows, and especially double rainbows. And I wasn't able to make my father's funeral, but the day that he got buried, there was a big storm, and in this clouds of this gray sky, very, very dark gray sky, was this incredible double rainbow. And so, like, ever since, these double rainbows have been following me. So I wrote this villanelle called Double Rainbows Bless My Eyes. Double rainbows bless my eyes, God's reassurances after death of my father. Thousands of songbirds sing from skies. Years of sorrow, mournful cries, God's finger paints vibrant color. Double rainbows bless my eyes. Lone bagpiper plays, my soul revives. Ave Marias, St. Patrick in valor. Thousands of songbirds sing from skies. Eyes drinking color, splendid surprises. Jesus, earth's artist, there is no other. Double rainbows bless my eyes. My senses baptized, rhapsodized in God's wonder under holy cover. Thousands of songbirds sing from skies. Look up, look in, see beauty inside. Signs from heaven, God's imprint forever. Double rainbows bless my eyes. Thousands of songbirds sing from skies. And that's also a theme in my life. One very hard night, I woke up, and in the dead of night, there was just like hundreds of thousands of songbirds singing in the trees. And like my aunt said that was very unusual because they don't come out at night and sing. So I don't know, maybe it was a flurry of what nightingales might sing at night, but they didn't have that lilt. So anyway, thank you for listening. And Carl's up next, and then we're going to end with Janet. So thanks, Carl.
It was recently Bob Dylan's 80th birthday, and this poem is tangentially related to his song Sad-Eyed Lady of the Lowlands, but it's not really. I mean, if you know that song, you'll see the relationship to it, I guess. She tells tall tales by the threescore, which you deny that you've heard before. She's quoting scripture. She claims word for word, but haven't you realized it all sounds absurd? And who among you would dare to criticize the beauty of her language, those sweet transcendent lies? Her face like mercy, a prayer soaked in blood, that final mile when you crawled through the mud, the finish line vanished just as you got there. Why would you imagine that she'd ever care? And who among you would dare to fantasize about the yearning that she hides behind those melancholy eyes? The farm burnt down a long time ago. Now smoke and ash are all that still grow. Her tattooed opinions outside of the gate, they just left us wondering why she did not wait. And who among you would dare to analyze the logic of her action or her quasi-alibis? You poor scoundrels with plans in your minds to undo the ravage of time, working so hard to roll back the clock, and now you stand naked, just targets to mock. And who among you would dare to burglarize the vault that holds the secrets of those melancholy eyes? Thank you.
Wow. And hold on, yeah. So we're gonna end with Janet, and I just wanna I just kind of thought that you were gonna like continue reading your biography, but so I'm gonna just finish that. So Janet immigrated to the United States in 1965, right? And then she held on to the longing for her St. Vincent, her home. And her poetry speaks directly of this longing while navigating love, loss, family, unabated joy, and spirituality. And she does have 2 books of poems, which she could not get to bring here tonight. Her first entitled I Hate Blue, and it was published in 2013. And later, the book that she's been reading from this evening is Breadfruit, and that was published in 2017. Thank you, and you know, I guess she titled this night "The World Needs a Hug." So,
Yeah, I did.
thank you. And did you draw this or did
I
who?
got it off the internet.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's just very clever. Somebody hugging the world. The world needs a hug. I just think that's beautiful. So if you want to close us out for the evening, Janet, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your life and your art with us this evening. Thank you.
Have you always been writing?
No.
No. Did you start after you retired?
After I
or-
retired, yes. And
Wow.
attending, a lot of your classes to inspire me
Wow.
to do that, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm really a culinary teacher, but I didn't want to do any cooking at all.
You make
I
it
didn't want
seem
anything
like you're
from
a
food.
natural.
Excuse me?
You make it seem like you're a natural.
Really? No. I don't know.
Well, Robert encouraged you.
My
too,
son,
right?
my Kathy knows my son. Yes. This one is talk about culinary. It's a little long, but I can make it short if you want me to. It's a food poem, all about food. I am no Langston Hughes. I am no Maya Angelou. I'm no Phyllis Whitley. I'm no Toni Morrison. I'm no Derek Walcott. I am not Amanda Gorman. I am a Caribbean queen who can whet and tantalize your taste buds, elicit feelings of pleasure, nostalgia, and history, followed by the feast of words that may not only make your mouth water, your eyes well up too, and your belly full. Your heart doesn't stand a chance. Calypso, rap, merengue, jazz, and disco music provides a rhyming beaten sound. Your blood would boil at 212 degrees. Now, what's your favorite food? Is it curry chicken to start your feast at Narrative? That's the name of the restaurant. Choose from the kitchen or smoked pit. From the kitchen, enjoy beef stew with white rice and sunshine lettuce wrap. On your next visit, try the Johnny cakes and fried bakes. This dough fried in a skillet and rounded into quarters. Sharing the plate with a saltfish dish in a coconut sauce. Callaloo and crab in beautiful flavored steamed breadfruit sauce. A large chunk of your yuca floated in sauce. There are several pleasant appetizers on the bar as well. We have enjoyed the 7 pieces of pristinely fresh sliced honey ham, beef and black pepper, seared barracuda as well. The baked-crusted roti was spread with nicely seasoned avocado and topped with freshly stewed curry breadfruit in a recent visit. A sprinkling of orange rind and drizzle of mayonnaise resulted in the right color and flavor explosion. It is a tasty appetizer to share at your table. Salads are popular at Narrative. Along the choices are crispy flying fish, grilled trichi with vinaigrette, seafood salad with sesame vinaigrette, and my all-time favorite tropical salad with julienne mango, papaya, June plums, custard apple, and carrots in a citrus dressing with crusted tomato groundnuts and cassava chips. For the most adventurous, examine the long list of the chef's special rolls with Bambi, oil, coconut tart, currant roll, and butter roll. It is apparent in this versatile restaurant, the chef is well trained, versed, and intense about his preparation, which he prepared to order with great pride and joy. And this is called the food poem, all linguistic, all narrative. I write in a very narrative form. The other poems I can't do. So I just kind of got this together. After Amanda Gorman read her poem, I kind of mentioned her name and, and that kind of thing. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of the new ones I did actually to the pandemic because it was sad. So there's a couple more about pandemic, but it's not finished. So thank you very much. I'm working on it. Yes, I'm really working on it. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thanks everybody for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the poems.